Today I'm turning over 50 of your drawings into Lego monsters using pieces from my collection, and then we're gonna test how scary they all are. The first drawing is from Joaquin, and it's this freaky looking flower creature named Sunny. These monsters will only get scarier and harder to build as we go on, but these yellow minifigure shield pieces will be perfect for Sunny's petals, which we can clip around the circular center. I use different shaped horn pieces to form the wiry neck and limbs, and we can finish her off with those creepy, hypnotizing eyes, telling you to subscribe if you want a chance to be in the next video like this. All these drawings were sent in by my very talented subscribers, and I heard if you don't subscribe, Jacob's monster named Choodle will be under your bed tonight. That's obviously not true, but we can use these pieces as the terrifying teeth in its gaping maw. I even built the little uvula back there that you would not want to see up close. The fact that this monstrosity has no eyes, nasty toenails, gross thick back hair, and this disgusting little rat tail all makes me deeply, deeply uncomfortable. It's perfect. But we need a break from all this nightmare fuel, so let's build a friendly monster next. We need one big eye surrounded by 4 smaller ones, but this first design I tried didn't really do Andy's drawing justice. So I doubled the size of the eyes and built up the rest of the head, which we can attach to the body using these special jumper plates that lets me make it ever so slightly thinner. This bendable hose piece makes for a cheeky little smile, and then we can add his 4 arms, legs, and orange horns. I found that I don't have nearly enough orange tiles for all his spots though, so we're introducing a strategy I'm going to use a lot throughout this video: stealing. You can search up any piece on a website called Bricklink, and it spits out a list of every set it's ever been included in. Looks like there's 12 in this Mario set, which I just so happen to have in my backlog vault. Yeah, so I have a bit of a problem buying deeply discounted Lego for future videos and then never having time to build any of them. But I'm finally cracking some of them open to take what I need and then immediately put them back into the vault. Seriously, I destroyed the resale value of dozens of sets by borrowing the most random pieces from them. But with our biggest monster yet now finished, let's speed run through a bunch of smaller ones before I explain where I'm sending them. I pilfered parts from the piranha plant pipe to build Poe, which we can attach to the Z-blob body. By putting tiles on this circular plate, we can round off the legs and arms of Mikkel's angry gingerbread monster. I used an illegal building technique to attach Tanner's purple squid's tentacles upside down, and then its eyeballs are actually minifigure heads. And Time's evil pumpkin gremlin was the very first drawing anyone submitted, but a lot of you sent in drawings of the exact same monster, Oogie, the Boogeyman minifigure. This little girl named Trixie had a nightmare about Oogie last night, which felt so real, she didn't even notice her bed floating away to the middle of the ocean in my Lego city called 27ville. Turns out there was a flood one city over, and she lost everything besides the PJs on her back, her surprisingly buoyant bed, and this mysterious book she found bobbing next to her. She solemnly sketched a picture of the monster who had gotten her into this mess to hopefully get some closure, but what she didn't know is that this was a magical book that brings anything drawn in it to life. Oogie Incarnate snatched the book from her and began scribbling abomination after abomination in it to torment poor Trixie. Like this next one by Bees of the West, a terrifying bunny rabbit named Psychonin that I'm gonna make heavy use of these mixel joints to build. The great thing about these things is you can pose any number of them at any angle, which we can apply to the legs, arms, long creepy tail with a razor sharp tip, and the scary bunny ears with snake mouths at the ends. How do you guys think of this stuff? We'll add the green stripe down the middle that has spikes on the back, by the way, stitches keeping his limbs from falling out, and this clip to attach his head at an angle to make it even more unsettling. Yeah, this might actually be the second scariest monster in the whole video. Trixie's gonna have a heart attack if we don't throw her a bone soon, and that's not what I meant, Chris. Bone snapper? Really? Well, I guess we can build his long, slender spine coming out of this chest cavity that we can clip his ribs, jaw, and skull to. Something about his spindly arms and legs gives me the willies. I don't know what it is though. But no, Trixie needs a way to keep all these monsters out of her personal space. So I used the many shades of pink pieces I have to start building her a bedroom. This looks like if Lego ever made Barbie sets. We'll have to decorate it later though, because Errol drew a monster named Ligor. He's an ordinary guy on one half, but the other side got infected by that purple stuff in Despicable Me. Plus he's super buff. I had to build both halves at the same time so I could create this pattern in the middle where the colors are sort of bleeding together. And we can't forget his chiseled abs from the drawing. The yellow side of his head is all round and smooth, using the satisfying sideways building technique, while the purple side is jagged and furry. This black hot dog piece is overpowered when it comes to making smiles. I used it so many times in this video. And this smile is a face only a mother could love. But the arms are my favorite part. Both the feathery red one that looks like it needs a hand, and this bulging, mutated mass of muscle. Yeah, this guy's going on the thumbnail. Trixie's new room wasn't offering her much escape from the monsters swarming outside. So she decided to hang up some posters to make it feel like home. But all it really did was give Oogie the idea to draw a cheese monster cat, Booches. I like that name, Booches. So far, I've tried my best to avoid making every single monster completely two-dimensional, but since Lego can get away with selling a $1,000 death slice, I'll give myself a pass with Booches. There isn't any budget for dual molded legs though. But we can give Booches some whiskers using lever pieces, more black hot dogs for Booches' forehead wrinkles, and add a squiggly tongue and squiggly tails. Making Booches flat also let me hide the janky nonsense I needed to position the 4 different ears and attach a clear support for Cookie, her little ghost friend. Booches. I really like saying Booches. Please add the word Booches to every comment on this video. But since the posters weren't enough, Trixie upgraded her bed with a nice fluffy canopy using these capes I taped on as drapes. She tried to get some sleep, but all she could think about were the creepy crawlies hiding under the bed, like the Patch Creeper. I repurposed this Lego Scorpion to make its unsettling, snaking body with horns, vines, 2 jack-o'-lantern heads connected with even more black hot dogs, and the Eye of Sauron? Okay, wow. This one probably has the most unique body shape so far. Then Hannah drew this adorable little mushroom creature. And since I'm like the Lego fun guy, I got right to work stealing even more pieces from the poor piranha plant to build the cap. It's not possible to make it as droopy as the picture, but these oval tiles are perfect for his droopy eyes. He's sad because of the giant Venus flytrap snake that's squeezing him to death, and there's not much room left in his lungs. So I built up the striped belly, spiky hood, and forked tongue of the ravenous reptile. Booches in the chat to pay respect for this guy. And for Trixie with all these monsters wriggling across her floor. She put up this shelf to display her figurines, hoping they might keep her safe. But these next few monsters I actually tried to build as minifigures. Mateo drew a sea creature that this lobster claw hand works perfectly for. We'll give him a fish fin, fish tail, and then his fish eyes are up here, thank you, made with a cherry piece. Those are his fish nostrils. Unlucky Guy's monster kind of looks like a frog, so I built Kermit the Country Singer. And then Cole sent in this picture with a little note. One time I had a dream that a statue of Richard Nixon killed a neighborhood of people. Cole, what did you eat that night? Oddly enough though, this is the second time I've built Nixon in Lego. Ian's minifigure monster was super easy to make, but he did break a rule that got almost 100 of you disqualified. The drawings were supposed to be in color. We'll let this one slide though, because Forrest, who drew it, is only 3 years old. According to him, it's a 4-armed monster with big teeth and horns, and I made it using all white pieces to match the picture. But I also realized it's really easy to accidentally make a monster look like Mike Wazowski, or maybe some of these are on purpose, I don't know. Much to Trixie's dismay, I gave her a closet door that monsters started pouring out of to harvest her screams. Someday I'd love to build the Monsters Inc. door factory, but for now I unbiasedly chose this monster by Toast GT, the Factorian Squid, which was super easy to build, its eye and tentacles bursting out of the walls and floor of my robot factory. Our biggest monsters so far have just been buildings with limbs, I guess. But then since this giant Sparky wasn't in the picture, I transformed him into another monster that both Luca and Toad drew named Boogie. We'll give him to Oogie to stand on to do a little Oogie Boogie. Wow, talk about a boogie, man. Then Tarts drew this this masterpiece named Mr. Aura. And every last detail I can recreate will add more and more to his aura. So we've got his cold, dead eyes, expressionless mouth, and I stole this micro Minecraft skeleton's face for his little nostrils. I know most people won't notice such a tiny detail, but we have to for the aura. He also needs his gold chain, stubby little arms, and we could use these white banana pieces as his Sonic the Hedgehog quills. What species is this? Tarts' drawing also has this distinct extra lump here, and with a few rounded slopes, the aura of his gut is off the charts. Finally, we'll give him Skechers and steal Diddy's hat to create his iconic aura ball cap. This is something else. I don't even know what aura is, to be honest. But now we've got monsters under the bed, monsters in the closet. My sister had a dream about a fish monster in the toilet once. And now monsters will be watching Trixie through these windows. Lego doesn't make very many sizes of eyes, so that usually determines how big or small I can build each creature. Like for Toby's drawing, Fluffykins, we can either use these eyes, which are too small, or these ones, which fit perfectly with yet another sausagey smile. But since his fur is red, and since we already have so many other red monsters, I'm gonna try to use this transparent red color to make him a little more unique. This required some sideways building techniques to completely surround his head and his tummy with plates. And then I used some cheese slopes to add an extra fluffy texture. The legs, arms, and horns were much simpler. And then to make his orange tail, I just used a Lego brick separator. And speaking of which, Andrew and Drew drew monsters based on a brick separator and a broken brown piece. These were the easiest ones to build in the whole video. Plus they play Kahoot with Terry. Comment below your answer. Okay, after building so many monsters, my table is a disaster, being absolutely covered with bricks, bins, a dead bird. That's what B3 stands for, actually. I normally try to clean up as I go, but these little goobers are so fun to make that I kind of got distracted and just let the mess pile up. But now that everything's all tidy again, we can start building Japheth's monster, Iceburn, who's like that one level in Mario Galaxy. This half is fire engine hot, and this half is ice cold. But the best part is they can split apart, just like in the drawing. And now they're each walking around with half of the brain cell they normally share. And when they're ready to get back together, this snot brick fits into this Technic hole. They can also do this, so that's fun. But Trixie had had just about enough of that magic book being used against her. So she decided to take matters into her own hands and feed into the scariest monster of all, consumerism. Back home, she loved to collect these ugly plushes called Lagugus. And now she can spawn in every plush she's ever wanted for free. Well, it was free for her. I had to buy all the sets they came in, like this 20-in-1 dream set for this rabbit, these Lego Friends sets for a penguin and a tiger, this Moana barge to get Clunka and his brethren, which are technically made with the same plush piece. I got this Lego GameStop to get a unicorn and an alien, plus 2 black hot dogs, I'm definitely stealing those, and this ridiculously overpriced Christmas tree came with a reindeer and a snowman. I kind of love and hate Lego's strategy of scattering parts of a collection like this across a ton of different themes. On one hand, it can be fun seeing where they'll pop up next. On the other hand, though, it predatorily incentivizes collectors to buy a giant set they didn't want just to get one piece from it. We can argue all night long about whose fault that is, but you can't argue that these drawings by my channel members are anything short of incredible. Don't tell Baby Benny he could have just done this, though. Trixie also gave herself every Lego teddy bear ever made, and now she's starting to run out of floor space. But as she was drawing stuffed bunnies, Oogie took the book back and turned this one into an amalgamation that Bertie sent it, with the head of a steampunk inventor and the body of a certain chocolate monster from Candyland, Gloppy. For some reason, Gloppy has become a fan favorite character on the channel, and I've built him in a bunch of different flavors, but none of them are the least bit scary, until now. Cap Gamer has brought Gloppoly into the world. This is like when they try to make Cookie Monster healthy. Vegetables would be terrifying to get trick-or-treating. The other scariest thing to get is a rock, which we're gonna use as the base to build Carter's rock monster. With some scuba flippers as the feet and banana peels as the hands, the NPU is going crazy. Then we can clip the eyes into position at just the right spot. This one rocks. With each new monster Oogie brings to life, he can feel himself getting stronger and stronger. He's almost ready to awaken a horror so abominable that even Trixie's army of stuffed animals couldn't protect her from it. So it's time for another speed round. We've got Parker's monster Argy, who looks simple, but actually took some weird geometry to build the eyes sideways. Cameron drew a whole diagram of this Yo Gabba Gabba guy with 3 eyes. Nico drew a monster with long spaghetti arms I made using this Lego string piece. David actually built his monster already, so I had to draw that one. There we go. Maybe this is cheating, but I just transplanted a T-Rex's head onto Marshall's animatronic dinosaur, and we can use Lego's horrible inconsistency producing this specific shade of red to add subtle stripes to the belly of Jacob's beast shark, with some scary designs for its hands and feet. But do you know what's even scarier? Nepotism. My little cousins all sent in drawings, and of course they get priority. So we've got Zeke's Picosaurus Rex, which has 5 eyes, 4 ears, 6 arms, 4 legs, and 2 tails, and it's still cheaper than the $60 Smart Brick Pikachu Lego selling next year. I think Blaze's Bob the Building might be from a movie or something, but I built all 5 stories of windows, used these bubble windscreen pieces as his eyeglasses, and gave him some weirdly muscular limbs. You gotta see how perfectly this tricep lines up. Ready? Boom. Now the property's all ready to rent out for the smaller monsters that can fit inside. Bananini. Dude, is this a brain rot thing? This better not be a brain rot thing. But using hinge plates at very satisfying angles, we can attach all the creepy spindly legs. Wait, this is legitimately horrifying. I tried sculpting the banana part using car hoods and a bunch of weird sideways building techniques, but I got lazy and just removed part of this Minions car for the top. I'm gonna be upset if this was a brain rot thing. But Lincoln drew a Scoutasaurus Rex. I'm seeing a theme here. I used a similar mouth as my giant Dalmatian mock with these round dark patches of fur around the eyes. Choodle's teeth pieces actually work amazingly as longer fur for his belly and ears, and I used these macaroni Technic connectors for his wiggly arms and tail. The goodest of boys. And finally, this unicorn that Isabel drew has seen some stuff. That is a 1,000-yard stare. I used a helicopter propeller as its horn, and she made sure I knew this thing was a shield, which I gave it to keep the terrors away. Okay, I hope this helps me keep my cool older cousin status for another couple of years. But for the final 5 monsters of the video, I saved the most challenging for last. Me drew this one named Bud. You gotta say it like that. Bud. And he's this cool reddish orange shade that Lego recently started making. The only problem is, these are the only 2 pieces I have in this color, and it was basically impossible to build anything remotely this shape. So sorry, Bud. You ended up looking like a deformed, lumpy frog. Old Farmer McGrady, drawn by Charlie, has this snaggletooth that gives him a lot of personality, but ended up being a huge headache for me. See, Lego makes this tooth piece that angles downwards, but not one that goes up. We'll use these teeth for his toes, horns, and pitchfork, but I had to jimmy rig this one to face upside down and kind of sandwich it in there, which was not cooperating. After that, the overalls were a piece of cake. And overall, we've got our farmer. Hilmar's drawing is difficult to build because of how true it is. I don't know why I'm holding a Blu-ray copy of Elf starring Will Ferrell, but we'll recolor Farmer McGrady's pitchfork to be all evil. And then the head uses this giant new round tile piece we can attach horns and the description to. Hopefully I finished this video in less than half the time as the last couple, but I am really sorry for being so slow. JP drew what would happen if Garrett the carrot turned into a monster. These bumpy pieces make for great toes and the nubs on the bone he's clutching in his intricately sculpted arms. Then I used a bunch of inverted slopes from a Lego SpongeBob set to shape his drool-covered jaw. I burglarized the piranha plant one last time to build these leafy green horns on his head, which is attached using the same jumper trick from the very beginning of the video. It's really gone full circle. I also want to turn this jumper piece into his belly button, which seemed simple, but I could not figure out how to make it flush with the rest of the stomach. This technique stuck out too far, this one jutted in too far, and this one left a gaping hole beneath it. I really didn't want to disappoint the belly button community again though, so I kept persevering, and eventually discovered the perfect Lego math I needed to get this satisfying smooth finish. Okay, that was worth it. I think this is my favorite monster I've built, besides Mr. Aura and Booches, of course. But with all 50 of them completely overtaking the city, me was finally able to unleash the Gigaboo, a titan drawn by Ben that immediately sank to the bottom of the ocean. Maybe Trixie might actually be safe after all. Yeah, never mind. Oogie even carved out a little chunk of the Gigaboog's wrist to build a secret library in there. And thanks to you guys, Trixie's never getting a good night's sleep again. But seriously, thank you so much to everyone who drew a monster. I'm sorry if I didn't have time to build yours. Watch this video to see some of the amazing art I had to leave out, or this one with an entire Lego museum filled with your drawings.